Hi, I'm Chad with Move Forward Guitar. This lesson is from our course Beginner Course 2. Beginner Course 2 picks up right where Beginner Course 1 left off, and you're going to learn more chords, chord progressions, strumming patterns, how to play in time to a basic beat, and much more. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you chord progressions that use the B minor chords that I taught you in the last lesson. First off, this course includes jam tracks as well as a corresponding premium e-guide. The e-guide includes all the detailed charts and diagrams for each lesson, step-by-step instructions to help you practice and retain the material in the video lessons, extra bonus tips and tricks, and much more. To accelerate your learning, be sure to grab the jam tracks and your copy of the premium e-guide by clicking the link on the screen or looking in the description below. So I'm going to show you 4 more progressions. These all use the B minor chords that I showed you in the last lesson, which will really help you get these down and show you how you can use them in different situations. And example 1, if you look in your e-guide, is going to be G to B minor 7 add 13 to E minor 7 to C add 9. And this is really similar to the G to D sus 4 to E minor 7 to C add 9. Only difference is that B minor 7 add 13 instead of the D sus 4. But your 2 fingers are going to stay in place the whole time, your 3rd and 4th fingers, just like with that other progression. So that means you're only moving your 2nd or your 1st and 2nd fingers during the transitions. So if we're going from G, all you're going to have to do with this one is remove your 2nd finger and move it into place onto the 3rd string, because your 1st finger has a shared fretted note between the G and the B minor 7 add 13. So that means the only finger moving during this transition is your 2nd finger. So it'll be like this. Just move your 2nd finger, move it into place, and that's your B minor 7 add 13. You can go back and forth just to make sure you really have it. But that should be really easy because you're only moving your 2nd finger. The next one from the B minor 7 add 13 to E minor 7 is the same. You're only moving your 2nd finger because, again, that's still a shared fretted note between those 3 chords. So your 1st finger stays where it is, your other 2 fingers, your 3rd and 4th, are always going to stay there, and you just move your 2nd finger up towards the ceiling to the 4th string for that E minor 7. So from G to B minor 7 add 13 to E minor 7, you're only moving your 2nd finger that whole time. And then E minor 7 to C add 9, you've already done. Just remove both your fingers, and then from C add 9 to G, same thing you've already done. Just remove both your fingers and put them in place. So it's a pretty simple transitions once you get it down. You're just moving your 2nd finger all the way until you get to that C add 9. And you might just have to scoot your finger a little bit back and forth to make room as you're making those transitions. So here's example 1 to the basic beat jam track at 70 beats per minute. And I just demonstrated with basic strumming pattern 3, but when you do it, you can start with basic strumming pattern 1 and work up to basic strumming pattern 3. So example 2, the next chord progression, if you look in your e-guide, is G to B minor 7 to C to A minor to E minor. And the A minor and E minor all happen within one strumming pattern, and I've actually changed it up a little bit, which I'll explain as we get to that point. So first with the G major to the B minor 7, your 1st finger stays where it is, just like with the G to B minor 7 add 13, but then you have to remove the rest of your fingers and move them into place. But just keep your 1st finger there the whole time and move your other 3 fingers for that B minor 7. Then from B minor 7 to C, you're going to have to remove all your fingers, completely change the shape of your hand. So that's going to be a pretty tricky transition at first, but it won't take you too long since you've come this far. So B minor 7, remove all your fingers, go to the C. Then from C to A minor you've already done, which you're just removing your 3rd finger and moving that into place. And then A minor to E minor you've done a million times. You can either go with your 2nd and 3rd finger to that E minor, or leave your second finger in place on that fretted note and just move your first finger to the 5th string. And that's all pretty simple, except in that last strumming pattern, you're going to do 2 chords in one strumming pattern, but I've changed the strumming pattern up. And it's not any strumming pattern I've shown you so far, it's half of basic strumming pattern 1. So you play half of basic strumming pattern 1, which is down, down, up, and then you just repeat that half as you transition to the E minor, down, down, up. So it's down, down, up, the whole thing together. But since you're transitioning chords, you can think of it as basic strumming pattern 2, just broken in half and repeated. So down, down, up on the A minor, and then switch to the E minor, down, down, up for the E minor. So the whole thing would sound like this, that last strumming pattern. And again, you have that up strum right before your next down strum, so you don't have much time to change. So make your transition during that up strum. So you're making the transition during the first up strum. So it'd be like this, really slow. So here's example 2 to the basic beat jam track at 70 beats per minute. And again, you can play this starting with basic strumming pattern 1, then basic strumming pattern 2, and work up to basic strumming pattern 3, starting at 50 beats per minute and working up to 70. The next chord progression, example 3, we're going to start with the B minor 7 add 13 this time. And then it's going to go to E minor 7, look in your E guide, you can follow along, then C add 9, and then G. But we're going to play 2 chords per strumming pattern this time. And we're going to do it with basic strumming pattern 3. You can do it with basic strumming pattern 2 or 3 since they're the same at the beginning. But the difference here is we're going to transition early. So play the B minor 7 add 13 with down, down, but then that's right where you change to your next chord on that up. So you've got to change really fast to grab that next chord on that up strum. So down, down, up is right where it changes. So that's going to be pretty tricky at first, but just take your time, do it really slowly. Start with the first strumming pattern, the first 2 chords. Just go down, down, up. That's right where you're changing that E minor 7. And since from the B minor 7 add 13, you only have one finger you're moving, that second finger, it's not too hard to make that transition. So down, down, up. And then finish out the strumming pattern, up, down, up. So the first 2 chords that sound like this. And then just do it for the C add 9 to the G, same thing. Down, down on the C add 9, and then up is right where you're making that transition on the G and finish out the strumming pattern. So the whole thing slowly would sound like this. So it's going to be pretty tricky at first to make that transition so quickly, but you'll get it over time. Don't get frustrated, just do it really slowly and just work on it over and over again until you add it to the jam track, because once you add it to the jam track, it's going to be a lot harder to do. So here's example 3 to the basic beat jam track at 70 beats per minute. And again, that one you can do with either basic strumming pattern 2 or basic strumming pattern 3. That's what it fits with, where you're adding that up strum in on the transition. It doesn't work with basic strumming pattern 1. So the last example, example 4, is going to be a lot simpler than example 3, but it gives you another time to work on the B minor 7 with transition. So you're just going G to A minor. It's just a simple transition. Just play the G, remove all your fingers, go to the A minor. Then from A minor to B minor 7, you're going to have to remove all your fingers, do that again. and then from B minor 7 to C, you've already done that. And then again, you're doing the C to D within one bar, and I've used basic strumming pattern 1 broken up and repeated. So down, down, up, and then the next chord down, down, up. So it's not too tricky, except again, you're breaking up that last one into 2 chords per that strumming pattern, and we've taken basic strumming pattern 1, we've taken half of it and just repeated it. But this will really, again, help you with another transition with nailing that B minor 7 and transitioning back and forth with it. So here's example 4 to the basic beat jam track at 70 beats per minute. Now I'm just going to go through each progression, each example one more time, but I'm going to play it at 120 beats per minute, which is pretty fast. And that's just to show you what it sounds like, because what I want you to do with these progressions, since this is the last lesson, is work your way up to 120 beats per minute. And you'll have jam tracks that'll take you every step of the way to help you get there, but it's really important to be able to play these either really slowly or at a faster tempo, and this will be the first time we're really working up to a faster tempo. But when you do it, you need to start slowly and build in increments, and then it'll just become easy to you over time. So here's all the examples at 120 beats per minute. Be sure to look in your e-guide under this lesson, where you'll find step-by-step instructions for how to practice and retain everything that we just went over. You'll also find instructions for when to move on to the next lesson. So thanks for watching, and keep moving forward.